Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I like to call the meeting to order. It's 1800 hours, and I want to say welcome to the St. John City Council meeting this evening. We've got a few guests up there in the audience. And we're going to start the meeting tonight with a land acknowledgement. So, Councillor Radwan, over to you first.
The land on which the city of St. John, or Minnequest, is situated is the traditional territory of the Wolastoqiyik. The Wolastoqiyik, along with their indigenous neighbors, the Mi'kmaq and Pescatomakati, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s that protected their rights to lands and resources. Let us take a moment to reflect.
Okay, I'll ask everyone to please stand for the national anthem. Okay, so I'm going to read the St. John City Council's opening statement this evening, and it's something that we as a team have put together. So we've agreed as a council that it will be helpful to state at the beginning of each of our meetings our commitments to our constituents and each other in relation to culture, strategic focus, and governance. And I'd like to make that statement now to remind everyone that I'll chair the meeting according to these commitments. One is culture. We're committed to demonstrating respect for and listening to understand the perspectives and interests of the other members of council, of staff, and of the stakeholders. We recognize and respect the leadership of the role of the mayor and the committee chairs. We come to meetings prepared. We've all read our kits. We've got a short one tonight. And ready to engage, to communicate, and to listen, and to promote trust in our dealings with each other and for council. We are committed to working together well, hard on the issues, but not hard on the people. We will do our work without politics or performative behavior. Strategic focus. We will approach our work with a strategic focus. Our work will be grounded in the excellent and comprehensive strategic plans that are based on broad stakeholder engagement. Our decisions will be evidenced and data-based and thoughtful. Governance. We're committed to good governance and to continuous governance improvement. We will focus on our fulfilling of our governance roles in strategic planning and oversight, fiscal sustainability, and the effective management of risk. Thank you. City Clerk, over to you for the next item.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next item is 2.1, approval of minutes of July 24th.
Minutes of July 24th. I got Councillor Kilman and Councillor Harris on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Next is the approval of the agenda, and there are a couple additions coming from Committee of the Whole. The first would be 17.1, amendment to agreement with Kelson and Kelson, 17.2, Royal Charter Agreement, 17.3, appointment of Municipal Planning Director, 17.4, Affordable Housing Grant. Also, there's a request to add item 16.1, which is to reschedule the October 2nd council meeting to October 3rd due to the holiday. And also, there's a request to add item 17.3 after the consent agenda to ensure that a new planning director has been appointed prior to the public hearing.
Okay, thank you, City Clerk. You'll have to keep that, you'll have to keep us straight with all that. So I'll need an approval of everything that the clerk has just said. Councillor Hickey and the deputy on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Next is a approval or disclosure of conflict of interest if we have any.
Conflict of interest, not seeing any. Moving on. Next item.
Next is the consent agenda, and on this item, we would ask that we pull item 5.2 because that has the incorrect public hearing date, so we'll change the language when we extract that from the consent agenda and deal with it on its own.
Okay, deputy, over to you. Councillor Harris, do you have a question? No. Okay. Okay, deputy, I'll go to you to read the consent agenda.
Thank you, Your Worship. So I would move 5.1, 5.3, 0.4, and 0.5.
Okay, I'll take a seconder on that. Councillor Harris on the question. Councillor Radwan.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question about 5.1, this unsightly premise here. I'm just wondering if staff are able to give me an idea of how many unsightly premises we have on a list right now. And I'm also curious if this one was vacant. I just can't believe the pictures.
Okay, and that's going to go over to Pam Bentley. Oh, there you are, Pam.
Good evening. So on the question, through you, Your Worship, to the councillor, we have many unsightly premises currently that we're working on. I don't have an exact number at the moment, but we do have many. We're into the over 100. This property is not vacant. It is owner occupied,
Wow.
to my knowledge. And Mark O'Leary, our bylaw enforcement officer, has been working with the property owner to try to get it cleaned up. And they have actively been working on it since they've realized that it is going to council this evening. Excuse me. So they are making some efforts. And as of this afternoon, it was still there was still a bit work left to do. So.
I appreciate staff's efforts. Thank you, Mayor. And I just wanted to say, I don't know, just for the sake of the public, there is an opportunity for staff to pick up 3 items. Of course, we don't pick up everything twice a year, and you could call 658-4455. I think that seeing things like this is disgraceful, and I hate that staff are having to deal with it. So I hope that the public will take advantage of the services that we do have to try to avoid something looking like this in the future.
Thank you. Councillor Ogden.
I'd like to thank the staff too. I know that cleaning up some really derelict properties, what you have to go through. One last year, we had 3 dump truck loads. And I can't say enough good things about what the staff does. It's unbelievable, the conditions, and a lot of them are, a lot of the neglect are absentee landlords. And I don't know how people expect other people to live in this crap and garbage. But I just want to admire the staff greatly for the work you do.
Thank you. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you. I don't see any other questions. 5.5 is the amendment to the Urban Development Incentive Grant Agreement for 35 Cliff Street. I'll just quickly read this. It says that since being awarded an Urban Development Incentive Grant, the Steepleview Development Project has experienced delays in commencing construction. When the project ran into construction cost increases, Common Council agreed to extend the stipulated start date by 1 year. Construction has been further delayed, but is now expected to begin this fall. Staff recommend a further amendment to the grant agreement, providing the proponent until March 31st, 24 to commence construction. No other changes. So this is an example of the City of St. John working with developers. We get that there's been cost increases, so we want to work with developments, we want to support developers, and we want to try to mitigate some of their issues as we go forward. So I will take, we've got the motions on the floor. We have a seconder. I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next on the agenda is item 6, members' comments.
Members' comments. Councillor Sullivan, over to you first.
Thanks, Your Worship. Summer sports are soon coming to a close. A lot of teams and organizations are in playoffs, and my summer sport sailing is no different. So I think it's a good opportunity to send a message out on how important our volunteers are that are involved in sport, and just for families to make sure they say thank you to all of the coaches and officials and other volunteers that help their sports to run. And we are a very generous city. It's funny, as gritty as we are as a city, our businesses also come out and support youth sports with donations and sponsorships. And just for my own sport, we just hosted our St. John RKYC Sailing Championships this past weekend. I had teams from Rossay, Shediac, Charlottetown come join our own St. John cruise for a great competition. And it wouldn't have happened without our volunteers, two of whom work for the city of St. John. So I do want to give a shout out to police officer Peter Hazlitt, who gave his Saturday and Sunday to haul anchors for us. And Andrew, who works in our finance department, her son is a great sailor, but she's a fantastic organizer. And if it weren't for her this weekend, we wouldn't have gotten fed. So just thank you to all the volunteers, and particularly to our City of St. John staff who are out there doing it too.
Thank you, Councillor. Over to you, Councillor Killen.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to give a shout out to Pride St. John for their amazing Pride Week roster of programming. It was incredible. The Pride Parade was such a joyful moment in time, and a special shout out to St. John Pride for inviting myself and the mayor and others to join in to an educational session that sort of made sure that we were very much aware of the LGBTQIA plus community's issues. And I thought that was a very smart thing to do, and I appreciate their work there. And while my sweet son, another thing, my darling boys, U11 St. John soccer team did not do so well this year, the U18 AA girls did bring home the provincial championship for St. John soccer. So that's very exciting. And congrats to them and the whole league for putting on a great season. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. On Saturday, it was a privilege to join Councillor Radwan with the New Brunswick Black History Society as they honored the Peters family. It was interesting. We had talks from David Shelley, Juanita Peters at the event, and amazing to know the history that exists here in St. John from this one pretty dynastic family, but also interesting to know that the Peters family is one of the only families that can trace their roots back through the American slave trade to Africa, which is really impressive right here out of St. John. Also on the weekend, we had third shift art installations all over the uptown. It was pretty special, despite the rain. Lots of people are able to attend, and it was a great showcase of some of the both performance art, visual art that we have to offer here in the city. Also last week, I had the opportunity to tour that cruise ship that was in for the first time last week, here again today. Quite a vessel. There's a 25-foot recreation of the sculpture of the statue of David on it. So if you're keen to not go all the way to Italy, but instead take an Italian-themed cruise up to St. John, New Brunswick, hop on that one. Also, we haven't met in a little while, so I want to give a huge shout out to the Area 506 team for their efforts between Area 506 and the Boxcar Festival as well. Both nearly sold out shows. And with the new introduction of the Country Music Festival, brought a lot of new faces into the uptown, which I think is incredibly exciting, and really motivating for the community, especially in a summer of some dreary weather. Hopefully, we'll be rewarded with September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things. Moonlight Bazaar returns this weekend on the 26th, Saturday evening. It's a very popular event here in downtown St. John. This year's theme is Moonlight Encounters. And so they're inviting everybody to show up. And if you have a costume that might be of interest, wear it. The other thing is Passport to Parks wraps up in Rockwood Park on September the 2nd from 1 to 4. Been a very successful season for a very popular event. for Passport to Parks in St. John. So we're hoping that everybody will show up for the final one at Rockwood Park. And I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, Your Worship, I forgot to wish you your happy birthday on Saturday. And
gosh.
I always
Thought I had flown
forget,
under the radar on
but
that
I
one.
send a remember on Monday. But anyway, happy birthday, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Radwan?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'll kind of second the Passport to Parks thing. I'll say that the Dominion Park Beach one was a big highlight of my summer. It was really impressive, and if you haven't gotten over to see the revitalization of Dominion Park, please get out there and do that. United Colors of Fashion, a few of us ended up at, and I have to say, I think the crowd was mostly impressed with Mayor Reardon's dancing moves.
It was a crazy weekend.
There was a big talk, and there is a video, but I didn't post it because I didn't know if she'd like it. But I do want to mention as well, August the 31st is actually International Overdose Awareness Day. So let's take some time to reflect on that when it comes around and what we can do to try to help our community. And we kind of went through this quickly last time, so I didn't get to say, but I didn't forget, happy 5th anniversary to Councillor Harris in the St. John Tool Library. Congratulations. It's amazing because I feel like I remember when you first opened, and it's been 5 years already, and doing some great community projects. And my favorite thing always is the community builds, because hits a soft spot for me. So anyway, congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Norton, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to pay special recognition to Detective Constable James Smith of the St. John Police Forensic Identification Unit, who won 6 gold medals and 1 bronze medal at the 2023 World Police and Fire Games. It was held recently from July 28th to August 6th in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And there was a news release that was put out there through the St. John Police Force social media accounts, but you can see that he came first place, whether it was in 300, 400, 500, 600, and also some other categories there too. So I can tell you we've got lots of sharpshooters there, but we're well covered with some World Police Firefighter gold medal caliber shooters on our St. John Police Force. So congratulations to Constable James Smith and the community and family that supported him getting all the way to Winnipeg, Manitoba. Also, I know it was highlighted, Councillor Radwan and Deputy Mayor John McKenzie, along with Councillor Lowe and along with our key staff. I know it was, we had Lisa Casey there, we had Aaron from Communications, we had a number of people that were there, but Leisure Services and the work of Greg Cutler have helped Dominion Park get to that stage 1 or phase 1 milestone, which has featured some impressive installations, if you can put it that way. Change rooms, improved beach access, improved electrical infrastructure and lighting, new picnic facilities, a sunset plaza and seating and sun protection, a designated area for lifeguards and maintenance operations, accessible washrooms, and a permanent accessible building equipped to house a canteen. Phase 1 of more phases to come, but as it's already been said, if you haven't had a chance to go down there, I hope you check out the improvements. So it's good. And last but not least, if you want to know how this group is doing, check out our progress dashboard that will reflect the priorities of Common Council and whether or not we're performing or underperforming. So for the public that's looking to measure the work of this council and what you hold us to do, you can check that right out on the City of St. John webpage. So thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. Thanks for that reminder. The dashboard is fantastic, and it does have a lot of information there on it, so you really should take a look at that, check it out. There has been a lot going on over the last 4 weeks. We were here last week, just briefly, but we haven't been in open session for a month almost, so there's been a lot going on. And yes, I did celebrate another trip around the sun on Saturday, but I like to say I've used up a lot of birthdays. But hopefully I've got a few more left anyway. So No, it's great. So I'm not going to list everything that we've been to or I've been to. There's all of us mostly have Facebook pages. We put a lot of that stuff on. So there just has been a lot, and there will continue to be a lot more things going on. So just check the website out for events and activities that are going to be happening in the city over the fall. Next item, City Clerk.
So next, the public hearing has not been scheduled until 6:30, so we will deal with some of the other items. The first one we need to deal with is 17.3 from Committee of the Whole, and this was for the appointment of a municipal planning director. And the resolution would be that Committee of the Whole recommended council that while retaining her position and responsibilities as manager of community planning, Jennifer Kirchner be appointed as Municipal Planning Director pursuant to subsection 10(1)B of the Community Planning Act on an acting basis until such time as council makes a permanent appointment to that position.
I got Councillor Killen is mover and Councillor and the deputy for the seconder. On the question? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. 17.3. Next item, City Clerk.
Next would be item 12.1 under Business Matters, the Chief Administrative Officer update on select catalytic projects.
Over to you, CAO.
Good evening, Your Worship, members of council and public. In April, to provide an update in terms of our catalytic projects, I'll start off first with the Central Peninsula School and Community Hub. So in April of this year, council advocated the province for the creation of the community hubs at Central Peninsula School and the North End School. And since the funding announcement by the province at the end of June, committing $7.5 million for community hub at the Central Peninsula School, collaboration with the province has continued. And this new hub will be transformational for the new school and those attending it and the residents of the Central Peninsula. And the financial support for the South End School Community Hub by the province is a pilot program. And while there is no formal funding commitment as of yet for the hub at the North End School, the province is designing the school to allow for that community hub at the North End School. And we continue to have conversations with the province on that and looking to hopefully advance that North End hub. Just shifting now to the Fundy Quay and the Market Slip. Public space, obviously, for anyone out in the uptown area, there's been significant progress made on this project over the past number of weeks with the installation of pavers and the entryway to Market Square and towards down towards Water Street. And work continues on the tidal steps. The granite pieces are actually being placed into position to form the amphitheater there and the stairs as well. And the construction of the ice rink service is well advanced, and they're actually working on controls and pumping equipment for the building. And the new stage continues along with the accessible washrooms that are being constructed and the mechanical and electrical rooms. And Harbor Passage extension work has begun on the retaining wall on the far side of the passage near the old pilot slip. So that work's underway, and this project continues to be on schedule, and all public spaces are planned to be completed by the end of 2023 as originally planned. And with respect to the development, the developer is getting closer to construction starting and looking forward to construction getting started this fall in that area for the Fundy Quay development. So as far as new comprehensive recreational facility, staff have engaged with the Fundy Region Service Commission on a regional arena needs assessment, as that is a requirement for any provincial funding that would be we would receive for the replacement of the arenas. And the FRSC is currently developing a scope of work for that study, and they intend to complete the needs assessment by October of this year. That will serve the entire region in terms of what the needs are. So we're looking forward to that. And work to date has assisted with the design and assessing the various means of bringing best value to taxpayers as we continue to seek funding from other levels of government for this catalytic project. And just switching now to the advocacy projects, I'll provide an update on the affordable housing. The city team continues to advance this council's priority on affordable housing. The city received word from CMHC on its funding application for the Rapid Housing Initiative known as the Barrett Green Residences, a project by Kaleidoscope Social Impact. And that project, as council knows, was approved, and the project will create 39 much-needed affordable housing units in the city at 67 Broadview Street, but clearly more needs to be done. So design work is underway with that project, and we look forward to the project getting started with project completion scheduled for November of 2024. In addition to the Rapid Housing Initiative file, a major application for funding to the Housing Accelerator Program was submitted. And if successful, the funding would significantly increase the amount of residential development in St. John by upwards of 50% over the next 3 years. So the city submitted the application early, well in advance of the deadline, which was last Friday, August 18th, and recipients of funding are supposed to hear back in the winter of 2023. And the funding would then be available for 2024 to 2026. And the city's application totaled $14.5 million, and the housing supply growth target is to create a minimum of 425 additional housing units per year over those 3 years. So we averaged 270 residential units permitted over the last 5 years, and 226 units have been created so far this year. So for the end of this year, we're projecting to be just over 300 units created. So that money is much needed, and I look forward to hearing from the government as it relates to that Housing Accelerator Program. And our city will need more than double our current output to get to 700 units a year, and that's to really meet the needs of our council's population growth targets of 2% per year. So, and lastly, as it relates to post-secondary education, we're excited that on August 9th, just over the past few weeks, UNBSJ officially had a groundbreaking of the new 65,000 square foot, 3.5-story building, which will grow the student population at UNBSJ, creating the new Health and Social Innovation Center, a further step towards the Integrated Health Initiative. And lastly, as it relates to the NBCC Trades Center on Grandview Avenue, we don't have a date as of yet for when the construction will get started, but I do know that design is underway, and we're looking forward to seeing that project have groundbreaking as well. With that, Your Worship, that concludes my verbal update.
Thank you. It's a receive for information. Can I get the motion on the floor, and then Councillor Harris, I'll go to you, Councillor Radwan and Councillor Hickey. On the question, Councillor Harris, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the CAO, can we get a little bit of a brief on what's up with the slippage on the Funday Quay? It's probably the third time we've seen this delay in the expected start time since I've been here. So I'm just wondering, I know before we heard about supply chain, we heard about financial holdups, and I know that the seawall repair did set things back a little bit. Last I checked, this was supposed to be under construction July, August. Now you're saying fall, so I'm just curious as to what's the reason behind that, if we've heard anything from the Alliance Group or the Funday Group.
Yeah, they're really looking at, going to market, getting pricing, doing all the things that a developer needs to do, and ensuring that the pricing is in place that they need to advance the project. And so, while there have been some minor delays, I think overall the project is proceeding as they had envisioned it to. And they're just working through some of the minor kind of final details before they get started.
Okay, what's the sense that it will happen in October? We're quite certain? Are we certain? Or like what level of certainty do we have that fall is going to be the start for construction? It's a hard time to build in the fall. So, if you're pouring concrete, it just becomes a few weeks delay and you're into cold weather, and then your concrete pour becomes a mess. So just leery of that.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for the developer, really. It's their project, but I do know that they're looking forward to getting started on pile driving in the near future, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So we've got the motion to receive for information on the floor. We have a seconder, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's now 6:30, and we have public hearings that have been scheduled. The first one on the agenda is item 9.1, and this is for a proposed zoning bylaw amendment. It has a PAC recommendation and a staff presentation for 384 Lancaster Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Dobbelstein, over to you for the introduction.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. Before you tonight, for our first public hearing is an application for rezoning that was submitted for the property located at 384 Lancaster Avenue. The application is seeking to rezone the property from Business Park Commercial, CBP, to General Commercial, CG, to enable the property to be used for general retail, and in this case, to enable a furniture store. The application has been evaluated by staff and the Planning Advisory Committee, and included in your agenda packet are recommendations of approval of the rezoning and proposed Section 59 conditions. And with that, I'll turn it over to our planner, Thomas Llewellyn, for the staff presentation.
Over to you, Thomas.
Doing all right, how are you? I can't say as much for the technology.
There we go. Oh, no. They're on it in the tech booth up there. I can see them watching the screens. Okay, here we go. Maybe. Do we want to just use our tablets? Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we have all the information on the tablet, Thomas, so if you want to just proceed, maybe that's probably the best, I guess.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good. Oh, okay, hang on. We'll just see if this doesn't work the magic, then we'll just proceed with the old-fashioned way.
Let's try this.
Yeah, even the equipment's on vacation. Yeah. Okay, we'll just roll with this.
Okay.
Okay, for all of us, it's page 97 in our kit will be the beginning. All right, Thomas, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Second page. The applicant is seeking to rezone the subject site, 384 Lancaster Avenue, from Business Park Commercial to General Commercial and remove the existing Section 59 conditions that specifically limit the site to the uses pertaining to Business Park Commercial. Next slide. The applicant will be renovating not only the building, but also the parking lot, as well as the landscaping around the perimeter of the subject site. Next slide. This is a picture of the building as it is now. Next slide. The site is one of the larger commercial lots located along this portion of Lancaster Avenue. There are various other commercial uses along Lancaster Avenue, such as restaurants, specialty shops, and law offices, all of which are zoned general commercial. The residential aspects of this area consist primarily of single-family homes to the south and west, as well as multi-units and townhomes to the north. Next slide. The subject site is designated business center within a municipal plan. This was done at the previous rezoning to align with Essential Business Park Commercial, but this is not an issue with the current rezoning. Next slide. The property is currently zoned Business Park Commercial, and the applicant is seeking to rezone to General Commercial, which aligns with the existing commercial zones along Lancaster Avenue. The residential zoning in the immediate area consists of 1-unit residential to the south and west of the site, and low-rise residential and mid-rise residential to the north. There is a daycare nearby that is also a zoned neighborhood community facility. Next slide. On June 12th, letters were sent to all property owners within 100 meters, and on July 24th, updated letters were sent to property owners within 100 meters to verify the updated public hearing date. As of this presentation, no letters were received from the general public. Notice of the public hearing was posted on the city's website on July 31st. Staff is recommending to rezone from Business Park Commercial to General Commercial, as well as remove the existing Section 59 conditions that place requirements on existing Section 59 conditions and impose new Section 59 conditions that place requirements on necessary landscaping updates on the property to be reviewed by the development officer. PAC has recommended support for staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you so much. So I will open the public hearing now, and I'll ask if there's anyone here in the audience this evening who would like to speak against this application. So I'll ask again if there's anyone here who would like to speak against the application for 384 Lancaster Avenue. And I'll ask for the third time if there's anyone here who would like to speak against 384 Lancaster Avenue. So seeing no one, I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application for 384 Lancaster Avenue. If there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor, you might as well come forward at least and identify yourself. We always love it when someone comes forward to identify themselves for us.
Just want to be identified.
I know you said that earlier.
Yeah. Thank you, Your Worship, and councillors and staff.
We'll just get you to give us your name, if you don't
My
mind.
name is Chad McCauley. I'm from Yisk. It's very thankful for the invite to come. We're really looking forward to becoming a member of the community here, and if all goes with our favor, we'll become a staple within the community and help support wherever we can. So that's about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've got a question for you from Councillor Killen. Councillor, over to you.
Thank you so much, Your Worship. I just wanted to actually ask you, because I got to go to school in Aarhus, Denmark, and so Juska's from there. And so why did you choose our little west side? I think I'm just curious.
A lot of it is the community. We do a lot of community work ourselves with Special Olympics and everything else, and we found St. John to be kind of along our same ideals and everything else. So it also is a very beautiful city.
Awesome.
Especially you're on the boardwalk right now. Well, maybe not right now, but it looks like it's going to be phenomenal in the near future. I think we want to. It's our first store here. We have another location in Bridgewater and some other places that we're looking at. So we want to get in here. We want to be in here a lot sooner, but it's that right place you got to look for. So we're really looking forward to it, and that's
Sorry, I just had to make you brag there. No, that's great. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Okay. Councillor Radwan, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to ask if you do get everything approved, if you have any idea when you would be finishing and wanting to open, just to get an idea?
We want to open immediately. We have everything lined up as far as the building exterior, and everything else is just waiting for the final go, to the point where we have the contractors already sitting in starting blocks. So early spring, if everything goes well.
Okay.
We had hoped to be open this year. I've heard you guys talk about it considerably, about different delays and everything else, so it's prevalent all over the world, so, but sooner than later, absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you for your interest in the city. We appreciate that.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for being here this evening.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, councilors.
Thank you. Okay, and I'll ask one more time if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application. Okay, so I will ask, I'm going to now close the public hearing, and I'll ask my team if you have any questions for staff. Okay, then I'm going to send it over to the city clerk for the motions that were required.
Thank you, Your Worship. In this case, we require two motions, first reading by title and second reading by title.
So I'll take Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Lowe for first reading by title on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John.
And I'll take a motion to approve second reading by title. Councillor Lowe and Councillor Norton on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
A law to amend the zoning bylaw of the City of St. John.
You're on your way. Thank you for being here this evening. Thanks so much. Next item, City Clerk.
Thank you. Next item is the second of our public hearings. It's item 9.2 on the agenda, and it's a proposed Section 59 amendment with a PAC report and staff presentation for 11 Blue Rock Court.
Mr. Dobbelstein, over to you for the intro.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening's second public hearing is for a Section 59 amendment application that was submitted by Somerset Suites for the property located at 11 Blue Rock Court. The applicant is seeking to add 2 additional units to the property and is seeking to rescind the existing Section 59 conditions, which are associated with a previously computed residential development that currently exists, and it currently limits the amount of dwellings on that site to 52. The application has been evaluated by staff and the Planning Advisory Committee, and included in your package is a recommendation to rescind the existing Section 59 conditions. And with that, I will turn things over to our planner, Eva Matson, for the staff presentation on the file.
Thank you. I don't think we've had any better luck with the tech, so I'll continue on like this as well. So this is a Section 59 application, as said, to remove the conditions created in 1989 and 1990. So just for some background, in 1989, the site was rezoned to high-rise multiple residential, which is the equivalent of the current high-rise residential zone it is now. And this was to construct a 7-story building with 61 units. And it had some Section 59 conditions attached to it, including standard ones around site plans, stormwater management, as well as a unit cap. In 1990, they purchased a little more property and rezoned it to match the current project, which was RH, and added more conditions. And then in 2008, those conditions were amended once again to include 3 multi-unit buildings with a new cap of 52 units. So today we are here to amend the original conditions, to amend the 2008 conditions to increase the unit cap. Staff would like to note we are recommending the removal of all former conditions, not just the unit cap, as many of them are no longer relevant now the development is fully constructed. So onto the site location, the subject property is in the lower west side of the city, just south of the container terminal. The site includes 3 existing multi-unit residential buildings and the required parking. There is a large elevation difference of nearly 10 meters between the development site and adjacent sites, which really helps create an additional physical separation and a visual buffer between those lower density residential properties and the subject site. Sites along the lower west are largely residential with varying densities, but there is a variety of local commercial zonings that include convenience stores and a very nearby daycare. The Digby Ferry Terminal and the Container Terminal are zoned transportation, and then the Carleton Community Center, which is very close, is park. And the subject site is served by the city's public and active transportation networks. So you can see in your package the images of the site, the first image of the 11 Blue Rock Court, which would see the additional 2 units added to it, and they would be in former storage areas in the bottom rear. The second unit, or second picture, sorry, shows the parking for the project, and then it shows all 3 of the visible buildings on the site. In the third set of images, you can see down Blue Rock Court, which is the access onto Victoria Street West. And then the second image really shows that visual difference between the nearby residential and 11 Blue Rock Court. The municipal plan has designated the area as low to medium density residential, which allows for a range of densities. While this project is zoned high-rise residential, it is a standard example of mid-rise density development, and it's a common typology found across the city. So rescinding the former conditions of a maximum unit number would allow for further development of a established site that has been existing for decades and does not have a negative impact on the neighborhood. As stated, the current zoning is high-rise, which was chosen back in 1989 to fit that formerly proposed 7-story building. The current development is more of an example of mid-rise development, and it does meet the standards of the RH zone, which would include the parking, amenity space, and square footage per lot size. Additional units would need to continue to meet these standards, specifically around parking and amenity site, which would allow for no changes to the exterior of the footprint of the building at this time, and in the future it would restrict any further development as well. There would be minimal capacity for change in the future, so this is why we are not recommending Section 59s to replace that unit cap. Letters were sent to all property owners within 100 meters of the subject site on June 22nd, 2023, and a public notice was posted on July 27th. As of this presentation, we've received 1 letter in support. So PAC and staff are in alignment of a recommendation for approval. I would like to note that when this was taken to PAC, there was a slight error in the wording of the recommendation. I put in the wrong date for when those original amendments were made. This has since been changed in the recommendation proposed to you, and it did go back to PAC last week. They acknowledged there was a change, didn't feel any need to vote on it, and so we are moving forward with the correct dates in the recommendation, as the intent is the same. So PAC and staff are in alignment and recommending rescinding all Section 459 conditions imposed on 11 Blue Rock Court. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. All right, so I will now open the public hearing, and I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak against the application for 11 Blue Rock Court. Anyone here who would like to speak against the application presented this evening for Blue Rock Court? I'll ask for the 3rd time if there's anyone here who'd like to speak against the application for Blue Rock. Okay, I'll ask if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of 11 Blue Rock. Please come forward and just give us your name.
Your Worship, members of Common Council, Rick Turner here on behalf of Somerset Suites Limited. I'm pleased with the staff recommendation. We were looking to really just convert 2 storerooms that we no longer require so we could create 2 more housing units. We had for years catered to about 25% of our units, catered to business people coming through the city, short-term stays, and we're finding now that there's more of a need for the people that are here. So it seemed to make sense to not use a storage room for furniture, use it for people. Furniture's being donated in different ways. We did send out a series of notices, got a couple of calls, and they were positive. If there's certainly any questions, I can try to address them.
Any questions for Mr. Turner? Don't see any, but I love that. Use the space for people instead of furniture. Good idea. Okay. Thank you for being here this evening then.
Thank you.
I'll ask again if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application. And I'll ask for the 3rd time if there's anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of the application. So not seeing anyone, I will close the public hearing, and I'll ask my team if anyone has any questions for staff. And if not, I'll send it over to you, Clerk, City Clerk, for the motion.
Thank you, Your Worship. So the motion for this would be that council rescind the conditions imposed on the September 2, 2008 rezoning of the property located at 11 Blue Rock Court, also identified as PID 00367144. And so we would just need one motion to effect that change.
Okay, I got Councillor Harris and Councillor Hickey. One motion for a change. Okay. All right. So I've got the motions on the floor, and I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Excellent. All right. Next item, City Clerk.
Next item is dealing with the October 2nd council meeting. So due to the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, which is occurring on the weekend on September 30th, Monday will be a holiday, so we'll need to change the council meeting from October 2nd, Monday, to Tuesday, October 3rd. So if we could get a resolution for that, please.
Okay, Councillor Hickey and the deputy. On the question.
No, just pass what I've read out.
Okay, and so on the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And next would be the item from consent agenda, which was 5.2, and it's now 14.1. And that was the proposed public hearing date at 1660 Manawaganish Road and 1260 Fairville Boulevard. In the staff recommendation, it referred to the council meeting date being October 2nd for the public hearing, but we would like to change the wording to change the public hearing to Tuesday, October 3rd. So with that change, if we could get a mover and seconder.
I got the deputy and Councillor Killen on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item.
Next item is 17.1, and that was an item from Committee of the Whole. And this item is for the amendment to the agreement of purchase and sale with Kelson and Kelson. And the resolution for this would be that the city enter into an amended and restated agreement of purchase and sale with Kelson and Kelson Limited in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its meeting of August 21st, 2023, and that mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement and restated agreement of purchase and sale and any other documents ancillary thereto.
I'll need a motion. The deputy and Councillor Lowe on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Next is 17.2, and this is a Committee of the Whole recommendation with respect to the Royal Charter and amending agreement. And the resolution is that resolved that for the continued preservation of the Royal Charter and to maintain ownership by the City of St. John, the city enter into a revival and amending agreement with His Majesty the King and right of the province of New Brunswick in the form presented to Committee of the Whole at its August 21, 2023 meeting, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement.
Okay. I'm going to call the question. All in favor?
Did we have a mover and second?
Oh, sorry. Didn't get over. Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Harris. For a second. On the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
Okay, and the next item is from Committee of the Whole as well, and it's with respect to Affordable Housing Grant Kaleidoscope Social Impact, and the resolution would be that the City of St. John enter into a grant agreement with Kaleidoscope Social Impact pertaining to a $200,000 affordable housing grant, generally in the form as presented to Committee of the Whole at its August 21st, 2023 meeting. And further, the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the said agreement and any documents ancillary thereto.
I'll take a motion. Deputy and Councillor Norton on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item, City Clerk.
And we had an item under 15.1 under general correspondence, and this item is a Living Donation Week request for proclamation. And the staff recommendation is direct clerk to schedule proclamation for September 5th meeting.
Councillor Killen and Councillor Hickey on the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Next item. That's it for
That's
items,
the
isn't it?
final
Okay,
item.
before we roll out of here, I just want to welcome We have a new solicitor in town, and he's in our audience with us this evening, Harold Lee. And he's been on the job for a week now. So we just and he's rolled in here from Ontario, from Toronto. Harold, is that correct? Toronto, isn't it? Excellent. Welcome to St. John. Love to have you on board here. We're going to have lots of work for you, Harold. We're going to keep you busy here. There's lots going on in St. John, and we're really pleased to have you here. So thanks so much for choosing St. John. All right. Councillor Lowe, over to you. Motion to adjourn? Excellent. Councillor Killen on the question, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Good night, everyone. Thanks, team. Thanks, staff.